God. What's going on? What just happened? What's going on? Oh my God!
That was a very scary moment. 22nd of May, back in 2017, during the Ariana Grande concert, the bombing, the suicide bombing that saw 23 people who lost their lives, another 59 that were injured. But I've never seen something more beautiful. After that attack happened, a One Love Manchester concert happened just about a week after, raising about $13 million in donation. We have the likes of Justin Bieber who came for that event. We had the likes of Little Mix, From the Top of My Mind, Black Eyed Peas. Just take a look at this little glimpse that, from that 3-hour concert.
I'm happy being here today. I love you so much. Thank you so much to these incredible artists for coming in, sing and be loving today, and share their gifts with me so much. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, guys. I love you so much. Thank you. Do we one more? Come on. Will you help us with this one, please? Cause you don't wanna lie. And I know she gives you everything, but I couldn't give it to you. You got everything, but I got nothing. You got you. Manchester, one lifestyle. Need to be the one who takes you home.
How beautiful was that? Adhiambo?
Let me tell you, this was one of the scariest things to hear, because the kids who were there and the ones who died were really young, even as young as 9 years old, because we know that there were 22 deaths, there were over 100 injured. But what stood out for me was that Ariana Grande really grew. You know, she's this little artist that sometimes if you don't pay attention, you'll just ignore because of Disney. But she grew on that day, and not only physically, but also in the numbers on Instagram. You know, she got 22 million new followers as a result of this that happened. And now she stands as the biggest, most followed star on Instagram, because she has 115 million followers post this. That is not really the key. The key is that this brought forth for us to look at how concert security really is, and you know, and whether are we safe when we let people go out there into these big concerts? And you know, that conversation also triggered a lot of discussions back in the US and also in the UK for all that. But for art, I think this showed very well that they worked together, because Justin Bieber was there. You did see him there. Miley Cyrus was there, and she really did a great performance. And a policeman was actually also dancing in that whole concert. So I think it brought forth a lot of things, and it defined pop culture in 2017.
Beautiful. Boniface?
I think for me the saddest thing about that incident was the little girl that died, the little 8-year-old girl that lost her life in that in that drama. I think it was very unnecessary, very sad way. You know, this kid probably just came to the concert to watch Ariana Grande. It must be a highlight of her very young life, and to lose her life like that, that was pretty sad. But then I think in the aftermath of that, of the bombing, there was some criticism that was leveled at Ariana's brother, Frankie, who's also her dancer. He put out this video in one of his interviews, and it felt like he was trying to milk the whole situation to get some attention to himself as well, which was a bit sad. I don't think you can, you know, you can do that in such a situation with such a massive loss of life and such a dramatic event, and try to turn that around into a
publicity
stunt.
Yeah.
Sheila, do you think that as Kenya and at large the African continent, really, it will get to that point where we can see as citizens if something happens, like that attack that we've seen. A week later, people in Manchester came out. 50,000 people went for that, for that event, raised up to $13 million in donations to the families that were affected. That we can get to that point where, from a bad tragedy like that, honestly, how they came out of it was the most inspiring thing.
I think, first of all, for Ariana, that must have been so overwhelming. Imagine, like, every day people lose people, and we feel sorry, and we're like, we want to condole with them. Imagine this is your concert, and people lose lives in your concert. It's like on a whole new level. And I think it's very good that the artists came out, the likes of Rihanna, Justin Bieber, they know this could actually happen at anybody's concert. It's not like Ariana had done anything for it to happen in her own concert. So the fact that people came together immediately after that just shows that people are ready to just stand with each other. And I think you can be able to see that in the developed countries. People are always ready, and celebrities are always ready to just come back and stand for their own people. In Kenya and in Africa, I feel like we are going to get to that level. First of all, you see abroad, the artists have a lot of money. Like, you're a musician and you get so much money in regards to brand deals, endorsements. Locally, maybe it's not so good. So maybe they can help where they are able to do. But I think also going forwards, when people grow and the brands grow and they have a lot of disposable income, it would be very possible for them to just start a fund and run with it. Like you can see during Janet Mbugwa's time.
Right.
During Janet's time, people really came together and there was a lot of contribution. Not because people are just waiting for things to happen, but because when something happens, you should just be able to have that mechanism, adaptive mechanism to just stand up and support.
I remember that day when it happened, she went on Twitter and she tweeted, "I'm sorry," and that got about 1.1 million retweets.
Yeah. It's really heartbreaking.
When it's happening in your concert. First of all, the fact that it was a bombing attack and then in your concert.
And it's
at only
children.
23, 24 years old, it affected the younger people.
Young children really they don't deserve such a situation. First of all, it's like the highlight of their lives, like you're saying, like you've been telling your mom, I want to go for this concert. Then you're there. Even for the parents, it's very heartbreaking.
I actually thought at some point that this would be a defining moment for Rihanna, and that would have been the end of her career. But she stepped up.
Yeah, she really stepped up. I think even right now as an artist, she really stands out to many people, because let me tell you, what she did was just noble. Imagine just getting back like a few weeks later and you're just there, you're telling people, I am with you, you guys, this thing you're going to go.
They even paid, actually. They even paid for the families that lost. And she didn't have to, but she did.
She did.
But I think also it's also about the solidarity that they displayed beyond after the incident, because while she could have cowered back and
let this define her.
That's something I find that we, especially here in Kenya, we don't have that. We don't know how to, put up a strong face, And
Ariana has been through a lot. But we all know her as a Disney character. So even when she's been growing up in music, people have been like, hey, that is too much. Sometimes guys are like, when she sings with Kinaniki, she's really getting a lot of nudity comments. But let me tell you, I think growing up means being able to handle whatever life throws your way. For Ariana, I think that was a defining moment. Even people who thought that maybe she's still that Disney star now give her a whole new level of respect because she's shown maturity in her brand.
All right. Still Matters Hollywood, before we come back locally, this is going to be the one we'll end Hollywood Matters. #MeToo. One of the biggest trends we saw in 2017 on Matters, celebrities, mostly female celebrities who have come out to discuss about sexual harassment in Hollywood. We've seen it with the likes of Gabrielle Union, who came out also to support it. She talks about it in her book. Lupita Nyong'o accusing also Weinstein of doing that. Very disgusting is even what Hillary Clinton, former U.S. Secretary, called it. So Adhiambo, your thoughts on this and how it paints a bad image for the music industry? Because then that means it's supporting stereotypes that in the music industry or rather in Hollywood, the only way up is through the bedroom. And that's not the reality.
I think when it came out, for many people probably who, when hashtags come out, usually people just think, these are some cool people deciding that this is the way to go. But if so far there are 83 accusers of this guy, 83, then I think he's a sick guy. And it's utterly, utterly disgusting for somebody to move up there, and somebody whose work you perhaps even respected in the past, and you sit down and you're like, oh God, that movie, did he make it? You know, you're thinking about it. But even worse was when House of Cards, you know, Kevin Spacey, who I have liked his work for the longest time.
Right.
In fact, after reading the book and then when he now became the star, but even when he just did other works, I didn't even understand how he could belittle somebody, you know, saying this was inappropriate, and then he belittles it, and then he says he's sorry, and then he moves back. It's just not cool. I think, unfortunately for me, there is nobody who has any right on anybody's body, whichever way you decide you want to dress, whether you want to become the star. I think somebody doesn't have to hold you ransom with your body.
And it shouldn't be a pedestal for your career to move forward, really.
It shouldn't be. And it was even worse. You know, one a member of the Fourth Estate also ended up, you know, being caught up in the melee. It has just been a disgusting thing to happen to us in 2017, especially in pop culture. But what it has taught us is that we can be able to stand up and not be shamed to say if something is wrong.
It takes one woman, from what I saw with 2017 with the hashtag #MeToo, one woman, and 50 others just came out. So many more came out weekly.
They're 83 now.
That hashtag was kept on trending because someone else new came out. Right now, we are heading towards the award season in Hollywood, the Golden Globes. Rumor is that most of the actors and actresses will come wearing black to support the movement. So black will be worn on the red carpet. Boniface, your thoughts on this hashtag?
I think as a man, I'm a bit embarrassed about it. It's not a pleasant thing to hear, and I hope more male celebrities, especially, will, you know, be proactive about this issue. I think the concern for me is this is not the first time this is happening. We've heard about this incidences before in many years back, you know, with Cosby and all these other celebrities who've been doing this kind of thing. So I think it's one of those things I just hope will die in 2017 and we just
and not be found in 2018
let's not carry
at
that
all.
into 2018.
Truly, the truth has power on that.
Let me tell you, I think these, for me, some issues are very personal, but I think in life there just comes a time, and it's time for people to just speak out and speak against some things. For example, the sexual harassment. It happens locally, it happens every day. Even after that hashtag, someone will still be sexually harassed. But I think what we need is the awareness that now you can speak out, and when you speak out, people won't be like, are you sure? Because that's the worst thing that happens for most women. They don't want to be asked, are you sure it's him?
Or what did you do to
were you wearing?
Exactly, that is such a bad statement. And I just hope that more people will understand that if somebody, imagine you just don't wake up one morning and say, somebody harassed me. Let me tell you, for some people, they have really taken a long time before they can just come out and just put it out there so that they can be able to free themselves and help somebody else talk about it.
Do you know, thank God for Twitter and social media.
Yes, thank God for social media.
It's giving these victims a voice and a platform to air the concern.
And I think even locally, even if you run, because even locally, we have heard about artists and young ladies whose careers just ended because their producers wanted them to go to the bedroom with them. But I think even if you're local or international, just open up. That story could just be the reason why another lady will stand out to a bully in the office. And I think also for men, it's good that we've seen very many of them coming out to defend the ladies, because when a man stands up against another man, it's easier for, like, you're relating on the same level. And I think the stereotypes really now are going to get shattered, because people will know, regardless of whether you're a fourth estate member or you're just the owner of a production house, if you do something wrong, people will talk about it.
And we saw it with also Dwayne Johnson, who has come out to support the hashtag #MeToo. But you know what I really liked about this hashtag is the fact that it went beyond celebrities. So common, just men and women who have been sexually harassed, men and women, started talking about their own and sharing their own experiences. So it went beyond just Hollywood. And it shocks you that it happens even beyond just Hollywood, that it's something that happens within our own families, within our own workplaces. Apart from just #MeToo, which was very vocal and giving voices to things that matter, let's come back home now a little bit. Adhiambo, for you, what stood out? I want to say Sauti Sol, maybe because of the whole fanatic that they have with Ezekiel Mtua every single time they launch a music video. Every
like
time.
Ezekiel is waiting. Sauti Sol, have they released a song?
You have
like
got
the
to
biggest
understand.
groupie.
You have to understand that, and I'll say this again. Sauti Sol is a big. We are proud of them, and generally the moment you reach up there, then people are looking at you and anything that you do. And yes, the ban of Melanin is so interesting because it's not necessarily that it has been banned that it's a bad song. It's actually really a good song. But according to Ezekiel Mutua, it's because they have not followed the law.
All right.
And the law, as you know it, and he'll tell you the CAP 222, it allows them and it needs them to go and submit their work so that it can be, so that they can decide whether the work is supposed to be shown to children. In short, for me, I think Sauti Sol, they know the law and probably they need to just follow the law.
All right. Bonnie?
I would say the saving grace there is YouTube, you know, because Ezekiel Mutua, you know, all his rants and all his beef with Sauti Sol hasn't taken away from the YouTube popularity. Like, if you look at the views they've amassed on that video alone, it just goes to show that there's a huge market for that kind of content. And for Sauti Sol, their brand just keeps growing with all the controversy that is attached to it. So it might not necessarily be a product for young children, which I think even they knew when they were making the song. They weren't making it for kids. They were making it for the older people who really appreciate and enjoy this as a work of art. So I don't think it dented the image in any way. If anything, I'm hoping to see them grow beyond that experience and just become bigger on the continent this year.
Sheila?
I also think for Sauti Sol, that was a win. First of all, music is art. And the better you get art with art, the more diverse you'll get even in regards to the video that you do. And I think their target audience was specific. I think Ezekiel banning their song on TV, that's okay, because also on YouTube, they're able to still access their target audience. I'm sure Sauti Sol didn't think that song is going to be playing just after news or on the beat, just when kids come from school. Yeah, they probably knew that this is going to be controversial, which is very key in showbiz. You need to get people talking. Secondly, it was a collaboration with Pato Ranking. It's expanding their frontiers. And if you're expanding, just do it. Just cause the noise. Let even Nigerians wonder, are those chicks from Kenya? What is their body shape? Let people talk. All right, people talk, the song moves, and your brand grows. So I think for Sauti Sol, they're really doing something that gets them to the next level.
Closing remarks. I'm sure we didn't talk about the pregnancies, e.g. Beyonce. Bahati as well, after the controversy. I'll allow you, in terms of closing remarks, to say something that we didn't say. And I'll start with the Diambo.
Well, I think in 2017, the pop culture world in Kenya did a lot of the things they did. But I think we were overtaken by people from Tanzania and from Uganda because Bobi Wine, of course, became an MP and is making a lot of noise in Uganda. And Diamond has another child with somebody else and he still comes to Kenya and we still love him. And I still want to see what it is that our people are going to do aside from Sauti Sol. So 2018, if you are in pop culture, then really we are looking forward to what it is that you're planning to do.
Bonnie?
I hope to see more celebs keeping it real. I think one other incident that we didn't talk about was the drama between Calligraph and Eric Omondi, which I think put a lot of egg on their face. And we also had the incident with Chipukizi and
Kevin Hart.
So I think all that fake stuff needs to die also. Like, let guys put in the work, be real about what you're doing, put in your work, and let people appreciate you for what you're good at. And that'll take you there. If there's anything Sauti Sol has taught us, is if you're consistent and if you're very hardworking, people will grow to love you. So we don't need any of that fake stuff. Let's do away with that.
Sheila?
I think this year, Kenyan artists are going to start becoming like Diamond. You'll see them with several girls from different counties.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And let me tell you, they're going to capitalize on that because I think for Diamond, it's now become a showbiz game. His mom is going to have a baby that is younger than Diamond and younger than his baby. So imagine, like, your grandma has... Your grandma...
The Kardashian-ness has come here. It's local.
I can't understand what Diamond is doing, but what he's doing is going to keep him relevant this year. And I think more artists are going to try that. The other thing I think is going to happen is you see Jaguar actually joined politics, you are going to see celebrities following politicians because they know 2022 is coming and they are so ready. They feel like, next time, kama Jaguar niweza, ata mimi nitaweza. So wait to see politicians and celebrities really coming together in a way that hasn't been there before. And of course, brands are going to grow. Babies are going to get born. I think Avril is expecting, Bahati is expecting. And let me tell you, that I really love when celebrities keep these things on the low because 9 months later, they're there on social media.
Get it.
All right.
So we're really waiting.
2018 will clearly be quite an exciting year within the pop social media culture. Of course, the biggest thing is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding. We'll be keeping an eye on all these things, as Sheila has said, at Adhiambo and Boniface. That is it for today morning here on Weekend Express. My name is Zinzi Kibiku. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Ashley?
And I'm Ashley Mazuri, of course, as Zinzi. And before we close, Zinzi, we did not talk about Beyonce's twins. How dare you?
I'm sorry, time! Time, Ashley. Time.
But anyway, that's where we come to a close on behalf